What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again, and we're getting back into breaking down each one of the teams. I've got 5 left and only a few days to do it, so let's get going on this. The next team, as a few of you actually requested, is going to be the Seattle Sea Dragons. That's right, we're going to get into the Seattle Sea Dragons. But before we do, give me 1 second here. Yeah, that's a little bit better. Yeah. So when I downloaded the XFL app and I had to put a team in there, this is the team that I chose. Back when the XFL was closing down shop in 2020, they had to get rid of a lot of apparel. I decided to buy myself a few of the Seattle Dragons things before they closed shop. I don't know. It was just, something about it being, I like the blue, the green, and dragons. I always thought that the dragons were cool. So that's kind of a team I gravitated towards. Now, I love the league as a whole, and really I'm more of a fan of the league than really the team. But, I mean, I guess if you're going to pick a team, you got to pick a team. And I went with the Seattle Dragons. With that. So, all of you that chose the Dragons, there you have it. Now, they are going to be back in the league. They're going to be playing at Lumen Field, and I think that this is going to be a home field advantage for them. They were packing the place. Now, granted, it is a huge stadium. You're going to get roughly around 70,000 people in there, and they didn't completely pack the place, but they were bringing in, I think, around 30,000 people, if I remember back in 2020. And I think that people are going to gravitate towards it. The Seattle loves football, and Seattle loved the Dragons, and they're going to continue to love the Sea Dragons. And so I think that Lumen Field is really going to be a home field advantage for this team, and we'll talk about that here a little bit later. But moving on, they have been changed to the Seattle Sea Dragons. I'm not really a fan of naming them the Sea Dragons, but it is what it is. They brought the Dragons back, and I'm okay with that. I liked the logo of the old team better than this logo. I don't know, this little tail swoop thing, Sea Dragons, like a sea monster type of thing. I think that it's kind of cool that they're trying to play off of, being there on, by the sea, and they kind of did that the first time around, but I just kind of liked it with just the Dragons. Now, the color scheme, I did like it, but it does seem to look, the more and more I looked at it, it does seem to look a little dated to today's standards. It does kind of harken back to the 2010s a little bit with it. At first, I did not like the orange, the bright orange. The more I've seen it, and actually I see it, in the pictures on the guys and stuff, I actually do like it. So I kind of like the old logo. I'm okay with what they've done. It's not great. It's not terrible. There are some trade-offs that I like. If they could have done the new color scheme with the old logo and kept the name, that would have been better for me. But all in all, things are looking pretty sharp. This team's going to look sharp on the field. And speaking of sharp, they really do have a really nice coaching staff. When I look at this, Jim Haslett has really designed this team to really resemble a modern football team, when it comes to coaching and things of that nature. And it really starts with the 2 coordinators. The 2 coordinators are guys that have pretty much done football at every level and have been successful. So you have Ron Zook, who has been in the college ranks, the pro ranks, all over the place, defensive guru everywhere. Obviously, Jim Haslett is also a defensive guy, but you go from them, and then you go to, June Jones, who, of course, everybody knows, undefeated Roughnecks, Houston Roughnecks. Unfortunately, he's not back there. He's in Seattle this time, but I think that this is a good fit for him. I think he is a guy that after the XFL shut down kind of stood back and said, listen, guys, I like coaching. I love coaching. I just don't want to deal with all the crap that is entailed with it. And if you watched any of that, coaches sit down that they did with it, a lot is rolled into that. You're kind of like a little bit of a general manager, kind of a ringleader and that. And, I just don't think he wants to deal with all of that. He doesn't want to have to deal with, the personnel looking at both the offense and the defense. He just kind of wants to settle in with his guys and run an offense and just enjoy being around football. And so I think that this is good for him. It's good for him. It's good for Ron Zook. I think that, them with their coaching staff, this coaching staff's going to learn a lot from those two. And I think that, they're going to set this team up to win. Now, let's go ahead and let's look at the quarterback situation. We've got two guys that I'm kind of interested really in here. You've got Harrison Frost, who's kind of the third guy, who's kind of, I don't necessarily, guy we don't know, about. He is, he's a really young guy, and he could end up playing somewhere to where he's kind of possibly that diamond in rough that we might see down here in the next couple of years. He's a young guy. Then you've got Steven Montez from Colorado. He is kind of one of those guys that has bounced around the NFL from different practice teams and gotten some shots here and there. The guy's got all of the attributes to be an NFL style quarterback. He just really needs to just get it, get some opportunities, get a chance, and to get in there. And then you've got Ben DiNucci. And good night. Yes, Ben DiNucci. He, of course, he was the darling preseason standout for the Dallas Cowboys. Was with them for a little bit of time. He's going to be the guy who's going to be pretty much running this high-powered, high-potent offense. And I think it all starts with him. He's going to be slinging the ball around like he's just going to be a gunslinger. And this offense is going to be fun to watch. They're going to put up a lot of points, and they're going to not take a lot of time doing it. It's going to be fun. He's going to be their commander with it. It'll be interesting to see how healthy he can stay. If he can stay healthy, I think that this team can go very, very far. Now, moving on to the running back position, and I think it hinges on Brendan Knox. He's exactly the type of guy that they want in this run and shoot. He's a guy who can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a guy who can make tacklers miss, and he can get down and he can get long yardage runs off of the RPO and that. I think that you're going to see this offense is really going to be predicated. It's going to be run and shoot, but you're definitely going to see a lot of that, the RPO type of a thing going on with it. And if you noticed, if you hadn't already, this team doesn't have any tight ends. And when you looked at that Houston team from 2020, it's the exact same thing. Don't worry about that with it. They will be just fine. And that wide receiver core is really headed up by Josh Gordon. And of course, Josh Gordon's a guy who's been in and out of the NFL, has had his issues, had his things, was a star there. So it'll be interesting to see what happens with Gordon here. And really, the first couple games, he's going to be the one who's going to be getting the attention. He's going to be the one getting looked at. But you're going to start seeing these names pop up here with this team. So you're going to start seeing, Calvin McKnight. You're going to see, Blake Jackson, who is a guy that they're bringing back from that Houston team. So a guy that's familiar. And when you look at it, so this roster is made up of a lot of guys that have spent a lot of time on NFL teams, and most of that's practice squad on the bench. But this is a roster that's built around guys that have been around the NFL. If you look at it, this roster has the least amount of guys that have played in some other league on it. And the leagues that they have played in, it's really the wide receiver core that have been there. So when you look at these guys, you're looking at the wide receivers have played in the CFL, which is, I would say when you get to American football, June Jones runs. His offense is going to be the closest to what you're going to see in a CFL. So the guys with the CFL experience are going to fit right in really, really well here, and you see that. But the rest of the guys, really, not a lot of them have any spring ball experience. And I think sometimes that's a good thing, and sometimes that's a bad thing. Why is that a bad thing? Well, you've got a lot of guys that haven't played any meaningful downs. So you've got guys that have been on practice squads. A lot of it's been practice, and it hasn't been game type situations where the game's on the line. You've got to make the play. You've got to get it. But the flip side of that is that they have been practicing with top talent, and they're going day in and day out with those guys. They've been around professional teams. They've been in the locker rooms. They've been in the headquarters. They know how to handle themselves as a professional, what is expected of a professional. So you have that atmosphere, and it makes sense, right? You've got a lot of guys that have a lot of coaching experience who are coaching this team from the head coach and the coordinator positions. And of course, they're going to gravitate towards those kind of guys and kind of who have, been around that professional NFL league and, that type of a thing. So it does make sense. What am I looking at with this team? And the reason why I'm high on this team is because I think DiNucci is going to lead this team. He's going to get this ball around to the playmakers. He's going to be able to dish this ball out and let these wide receivers do their thing, which is make plays. And then I think they're going to get some really good stuff from the running backs, really Knox really being the one leading the way. At least I think with it. We'll see what happens, with the rest of the guys. And on defense, I think they're just going to be a solid defense. I think that this defense is going to get some takeaways. I think they're going to be kind of more of a traditional NFL style bend don't break. They might and they're going to be able to get the ball back for the offense. I think that the offense, though, is going to be scoring enough to where I think that this defense will probably give up some points just because they've spent a lot of time on the field, but they are going to be that bend, don't break. I think that the home field advantage for them is Lumen Field. I think they're going to fill that place with a lot of fans. And, Lumen Field once held the record for the loudest stadium, Guinness Book World Record for that. So this is a very, very loud place. So if the fans can get moving, they can get that rocking, they can get that place loud, and they can have a real nice home field advantage. This is a team that I would expect to see in the playoffs. You're not going to see, I don't think, necessarily anything like some, big, crazy record, but I think that they're going to beat probably Vegas out by one or two stats or games or something like that. But I see this team, realistically, I see the ceiling at about 7, and I see them sitting at about that 5 to 6 win range to where they're going to be making the playoffs. I don't think that they're going to be the top team with the Battlehawks in their division, but I do think that they're going to, I think they're going to beat out DC, and I think they're going to beat out Las Vegas with that. So, I think you're looking at anywhere between 5 to 7 wins with this team. I think that this is going to be a fun team to watch. I think that there's going to be a lot that we're going to be able to talk about with it, and I think that we're going to get a couple of new stars out of this team. All in all, I'm kind of excited to watch these Sea Dragons play. I don't know. I might just be calling them the Dragons. We'll see what happens with that. As always, I want to know your thoughts down in the comment section. Let me know what you think, what you're expecting out of this team for this year, and we'll continue the conversation on down there. All right, guys, listen, I know that you're busy. I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.